comments. Welcome to, is this the first ever Ask?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Yep.
We're number one.
Episode number one of
Mhm.
Ask M&M Live. I am your host, moderator, Moniek James, owner of Renegade Creative Media Group, and I'm here with the M and the other M of M&M, Mignonne and Mark, here to talk about the plethora of resources that are available right now that you all have probably been overwhelmed by if you are a small business looking for support and assistance in navigating this COVID-19 economy that we are now in. Mignonne, for those that don't know, is the executive director of the Arizona Regional Economic Development Foundation, the page that you are watching this broadcast on right now. And Mark is the director of the Cochise College Small Business Development Center. These are our two local experts. If you subscribe to our local newspaper, you read their column weekly, and they're here to answer the questions that you have as a small business owner trying to navigate this whole situation that we have never been in before. We've never been here before, never experienced this, and there's a lot of new information coming out. So we wanted to make sure that you all had access to the resources, the reliable, trusted resources to give you what you need, to give the small business community what we need to still come out on the other side of this sustainable. So Mark and Mignonne, thank you all so much for doing this, for allowing me to be in this chat with you. So tell us just the things that are on the top of your mind, because I know you both have been on webinars and you've been on conference calls for the last weeks. Your phones have been ringing off the hook. So what are you hearing right now that you want the small business community to know for right now? Because I know the information changes every 5 minutes.
Every 5 minutes. You're so correct about that. Mark and I were on a webinar yesterday and they were giving false information. We're like, no, that news was, 2 hours ago. It's already changed. So really, we're here. We want to make sure that the small business community, that you stay resilient. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure that you come out on the other end, that you've got good information. There's a lot of scams. As soon as a website's put up, there's a scam site right away. And so we're already seeing a lot of that. We really want to dedicate today, as you said, Monique, to answering questions, making sure that you all are resilient. This is the time not to panic. It's the time to go back and do all the things that an SBDC tells you all along. Having your business plan, having a relationship with your banker, having a relationship with your accountant. Because now you're going to see that everything that you were preparing for before is now coming true. You're like, I've done all the homework and I'm ready for this. So, we don't want to take up a lot of time on me just talking to you about who we are and what we do. We want to be able to get to answering questions. Mark was going to give a quick overview of the PPP and from the SBA, what they've got going and where you need to start applying. That all starts to happen tomorrow. So you still got today to get some of those things ready. They are going to need all of your financials from last year and for this first quarter. So you want to be busy getting that together. And then I'm going to kick it over to the other M.
Okay. First thing to remember, this is changing as we go. Okay. So what you hear today, by the time we get off, something will have changed. So keep that in mind. I'm going to talk really quickly about the disaster loan. That's the only one out there right now that you actually can push buttons and apply for. Okay. But there's some simple links to go there. It's about 15 minutes to process the application. The hardest question that you're going to ask or have to ask is, what were your sales and what were your cost of goods? The rest is simple yes, no. In about 5 working days, a case manager will contact you. Now, let me leave this for a caveat. People are asking, what do I qualify? I just started my business, and on and on. If you don't fill out the application, the answer is no. Okay, that's what Robert Blaney, the head of the Region 9 SBA, is telling us. Fill out the application, let them make those determinations. Second one, this just happened Monday. There's another part to it. It's called this $10,000 advance loan. Okay, just by filling out the application doesn't mean you're going to get it. But at the same point in time, by filling out the disaster loan doesn't mean you're going to get it. But it's up and it's available. At the end of this broadcast, we're going to give email addresses so you can contact us, and I'll send you links where you can click on it. If you need help, I'll call you and walk you through the application, but you're going to find it's a simple thing to do. This isn't, it's actually, you don't start making payments on the disaster loan for a year. There's no cost to get this. There's no fees, and the interest is 3 3/4%. Nonprofits, 501c3s are eligible for this, and it's 2.4% interest. Okay, and also too on that one, let them make the determination if you're eligible. But what's eligible for expenses on that are payroll, are your utilities, are rent, or if you mortgage, the interest on the mortgage. And there's some other expenses on the disaster loan that are eligible, like maybe an interest payment, maybe you're paying an accountant, and some things like that. You want to be very careful, because now I'm going to shift to the PPP. Okay, now that's the new one that isn't available yet. But once again, if you send me your email address, I will send you links so you can read about it. And then also you can actually see the application that you're going to have to fill out. Now your bank, this is now you're going through a bank, and your bank will have some determinations on who they're going to process. So the big question here is, who's the expert in this one? Your bank. Contact your bank to get on that list. I know National Bank was actually sending out some, give us your name so when we are ready to do these, we can connect with you. There are some banks that I've been working with the past week that weren't eligible lenders, and they're involved in the process to start applying to be eligible lenders to be able to process these forms. Now, Payroll Protection Program. What is that? Okay. Now, there's a certain percentage of this. You hear about grants and loans and forgiveness. Okay. There's things you have to do, okay, to do this. And you apply for it 2.5 times your monthly payroll, and there's certain limits to it. This is only for payroll, utilities, interest, or rent. 75% of it has to be payroll. So those are some of the details and things that you need to know without really going into a whole bunch of details. But the big thing is on that one, you want to connect with your bank to find out, are they doing these, and to get on their list and to find out what they want from you in order to apply for the disaster loan. Here's some little things I'm going to throw out there too. If you have an existing SBA loan, 504, 7A, your bank is authorized, but you have to ask them. You don't just start doing this for a 3-month deferment. Mm-hmm. The SBA is given an additional 6-month deferment, so you have a 9-month deferment on any existing SBA loans. Also, too, if you get, now's the time to get a new 7A or a new SBA loan, because guess what? First 6 months are forgiven if you qualify and you're able to get it. And so those are just some of the craziness. I want to also say one thing, and then we're going to throw it open, because you'll find I always love to talk too much. But the big thing of it is people submitted payroll reports on quarterly reports. Get with your accountant, because there's a certain portion of those that you could be eligible to not have to pay. So here's the good thing is you need to be working with professional people that know these things. And so if you're not, good lesson, get with one as soon as this thing clears up and start doing business with them, because these are the people that are going to help you keep your business open more than anything that you possibly can do. You're a plumber. You're good at plumbing. There's no way I would try to do plumbing. You know, same thing. Mignonne is a CPA. You know, I would call and ask her CPA questions all day long, you know, because she knows these things. So Mignonne, if I want, or Moniek, excuse me, if I was going to do social media, guess who I'd be calling? You know what I mean? So get
that's why we called you.
Yeah. So anyway, that's kind of like my on and on and on kind of thing here is get with professionals that know what they're doing, and definitely start applying for some of these things. Let them tell you no. Don't pre-qualify yourself, okay?
Right.
By not doing it.
Right. And again, we can't emphasize enough how you have to have your records in order. Everything that you know, make sure that, I know it's it's in April, right? But make sure that your last year statements, that you've got all that pulled together, because the same thing, when you go into the bank, you want to be as prepared as you can. I see one of the questions right there was, is this first come, first serve? And it is. So that's why we're saying tomorrow, it hits for some of those things. It's first come, first serve. You'll want to make sure that you've had those relationships with your banker, that you've had those relationships with your accountant, and you're able to get that information and that application in just as soon as possible.
Here's another big one too. If for some reason we don't get your question answered today, or you're done with the webinar and you say, "God, I should have asked them that," we're going to have our email links at the end of this thing, so you can send us emails that will be able to answer these questions or get you to the professional that can answer these questions.
Yeah,
yes.
and we're talking about doing this once a week, going live during this time, once a week, that we're coming on, and you can, because like I said, the information is changing daily, the issues will change daily, the economy will change daily. We want to be able to get you all of the information just as soon as possible. So we'll work with Monique, and we'll get this so that it's a regular M&M live that we'll be doing. And I think we're ready to start taking questions.
Oh yeah, we got some good questions in the chat already. So this one's from Jessica, specifically about the PPP Mark. What should small businesses do about the 1099 consultants they use? Their bookkeepers, their accountants, their marketing. She says they're not technically not employees, but they are a bulk of her costs. So they qualify.
Yeah. You know, an interesting one too, I was talking with Robert Mucci, my business analyst, and I don't have Mignonne have some information on this one too. But, you know, if you're a 1099, you should have a business. Why aren't you applying? Why aren't you applying for this as your own business?
Oh, that's right.
Right. Because you're considered an employee of your own business. As a 1099 employee, you're an employee. So these are tools that when you talk to your account, you're like, wait, I'm going to apply for that, right?
Right.
So the answer is, initially when they thought of this, they were just looking at employees, W-2 employees. But then they've gone back. See, that's how that information is changing every day. Then somebody went, hey, what about the 1099? Exactly the question you're asking. They're like, oh yeah, we need to include our 1099 people in there too. Now, like Mark said, the answer is no if you don't even apply. Start the process. There are some rules that you have to, I know a lot of people are asking questions about if you lay somebody off and then do you have to rehire them? They're working out those details. I was on a webinar yesterday with the SBA about that. And they said there's some caveats to that you actually have to hire that same employee back. It can't be a new employee. So there's going to be some nuances to it, but those are very technical questions. And those answers are changing daily. But like Mark said, get it in there, apply, yes. The answer is yes until the SBA tells you no.
Here's the big thing too, is you're going to have to prove with the W-2 that, or you're going to have to prove, here's the light bill I paid, here's the mortgage bill I paid, and that to get that money back. And so be ready for, you know, some good record keeping throughout this whole thing.
Absolutely. We can't, you know, that's one of the things. When I was in the SBDC too, people always said, oh, the record keeping is the horrible part. Why do I have to do that? And I said, it's the most important part. And here you go, because you're going to have to be accountable for that money coming in, that you've actually used it for payroll for that employee, and have those. I can't emphasize how important record keeping is right now.
The funny thing is, you got to really look at what's the intent of the whole program. The intent is to keep people working. That's the reason for this whole thing. It's like a lot of times with grants, people are trying to get around doing this or that, not quite. Is the purpose for the grant is, we were working with another one before, and it was Rural Energy for America, to make our businesses and farmers more bankable by reducing their debt. If they put something in that lowered the light bill, that made them more of a business that would be viable because they reduced their expenses. Remember, the intent of this one is to keep people working, keep the payrolls going. And that's the main intent of the PPP.
And to go back to Anne Marie's question about the loans being first come, first serve, that's because there are dedicated set aside. There's a set aside amount of money, right? And right now,
in each state,
set aside is it. So, right. So it's definitely incumbent on people to apply sooner rather than later. Anne Marie asked another good question. Can you qualify for deferment and the PPP, or is it one or the other?
One or the other. You cannot double dip. So they're saying fill out both applications, then you go to your banker and you go to your accountant and you pick the one that's going to work for you right away. You know, people, most of us, we want to do it all the right thing, but there are those people that are out there, those opportunists. Monique and I were talking about that a little bit earlier, that are just going to try to take advantage of every little thing that they can do, and they're going to ruin it for the rest of us. Yeah. But you can only take one or the other. You cannot double dip into this program.
A good tip too is on the disaster loan, put your other expenses, you know, and no one's going to call you anyway for, if you had your application in right now, you're looking at 3 weeks before you're actually going to get into the details of how much money you're actually going to loan. You know what I mean? Or borrow on that one, the way it's looking right now. It could be sooner, it could be later. But like I say, they're saying the disaster loan one, you might want to consider if you know you have the PPP. Put a lot of things on the disaster loan that are true expenses, like you have a truck payment that you need for your business. You know what I mean? Or some of those other expenses, because PPP, remember, it is payroll, utilities, your rent, or interest on a mortgage if you're buying your business. And 75% needs to be payroll, okay? And the interest rates on both of these things are phenomenal. You know, so you want to try to get as much of most legally that you can get.
Yeah, the payback, the last time I heard the payback was that it started in 2 years and at 0.05%. But that was yesterday. That was
could change,
Today's a whole new day, and I haven't gotten an update yet. So that could all change again by tomorrow. And they're talking about round 3 coming, round 3 and round 4. So it's these numbers are moving.
You know, the big thing too is there's some forms that are common forms for 7A loans, 504 loans, personal financial statements, having your income tax returns for 3 years. If you're a new business, at least have some accounting so you have your profit and loss statements for the year that you've been in business or whatever it is. Another one too, on the disaster loan, let them make the decision. I had 5 phone calls this morning. God, I just started my business this year, Mark. Do I apply? Apply. Let them say no. Don't determine yourself and say, I'm not going to do this.
There's that question. Go ahead, Monique.
The going back to the 1099 contractors, in the event that the 1099 contractors are not their own employers or don't apply for whatever reason, is it possible that the emergency disaster loan can cover paying those people, or is the loan limited to non-payroll expenses?
So that answer was no the other day. Yesterday, the answer was yes, that you can put them on. It's a moving target. So like I said, we're going to give you some general answers today, but please know that those answers change moment to moment. So I would say to all the questions out there, does it qualify for this or this? Put it in the application and send it off and let it get sorted out later, because today that answer could be no. Tomorrow that answer pretty much is going to be yes.
And let your case manager, when they call you, make that determination.
Don't try to make it yourself. And even if we tell you, well, yesterday the answer was no, but you know what? Tomorrow morning it's going to be a different answer. They're still working out the details of that.
And seriously, if you're out there listening, you're a 1099 employee right now. You should have your own business. You know what I mean? You should have your own business license. You should have your own insurance. You should have your own accountant. You might even probably have your own employees. You know, are you paying workman's comp on them? Make sure you're doing some of these things because it's very important to actually make yourself a viable business so you can get some of these 7A loans and some of these 504 loans to help your business grow, because they're going to be looking for businesses that are still standing, and there's going to be opportunities for growth like crazy, in my opinion.
Right. So this next question is a really good one. So Manuel says, I opened my business, which is a gym, with 0 loans. So he doesn't have a bank that he could borrow from. He doesn't have employees. So his costs are just rent, utilities, and now the loss of his membership because he's had to close his business. So he's thinking he could just apply for the grant. Is that true, or are there other programs that he should consider looking into?
You want to grab that one, Mignonne? You want me to grab it?
I'm both going to say the same answer, so give a short answer. Mark?
Yeah, it's kind of like I say, there is no per se grant here. everything you're applying for, and then you have to show that you paid these receipts and you're going to get it back. The disaster loan, they're talking about an emergency advance loan. Okay. And so the disaster loan, you might be able to put some of those other expenses on it, like I say, but the PPPs, you got to show payroll, you got to show insurance, you got to show, interest, and you got to show rent payments to get that back. And the other thing too here is this 3 3/4% amortized over 30 years. I just ran on a quick amortization chart. If someone needed $100,000 in normal bank load, you're paying interest what you are paying in principal. This one here, if you take it to term, it's only $49,000 is what you're paying on that disaster loan if it goes to the term for the full 30 years. So I hope we answered that question. If also too, if we didn't answer your question correctly, we will be posting. I'm going to give you my phone number right now, 520-515-5478. We're on the answering machine. We will get back to you, okay, and shortly. Right now, our response time for calls, I'm pretty much getting to them within an hour. I'm getting to you on a call, okay? But did we lose Moniek?
No, we lost Mignonne. So
Mignonne, okay.
When I see her jump back on, I'll bring her back to screen.
Go for it, okay.
Questions are still coming in. Do members of an LLC that are on payroll for their businesses, are they allowed to be included in the payroll reporting, or do they have to be excluded?
If you're paying payroll, and that's what you should be doing for members to the LLC, is they should be employees, taking down wages. And as long as they're an employee that you can show a W-2 that you paid them wages, that's going to be eligible.
Awesome. We lost Mignonne was on and then we lost her again. Okay, but these questions are coming and you all keep them coming. So what about people that own multiple businesses? Is there a restriction that only one business can apply, or can they apply for the PPP or the disaster loan for both businesses? Are there limitations?
Yeah, from what I've heard, this is for your business, not for an individual. Okay, and so multiple businesses. Let's say that I own a shipping store, and then I own a Southwest gift shop, and they're separate legal entities and separate businesses, and I have separate payrolls. That would be separate. But let's say that you were one big C corporation and they were all under that. Well, then it would fall under the Trump one businesses with 10 entities underneath it. So it depends on how you're filing tax returns. And if you have a tax return for each individual business, I would assume greatly that each individual business that's filing a tax return would be eligible for any one of these programs as an individual business. But if you have an overall arching corporation that you have a bunch of DBAs underneath it, it's one business, the whole big thing. Correct, Mignonne?
That's correct. And I was just going to mention, though, that the disaster loan can be rolled into the PPP.
Yeah.
So they're saying really get that disaster loan first, and then you can roll that into the PPP.
And that just changed a couple days ago too.
Right. Mm-hmm. So, and the other thing that the question is about grants, because a lot of people have heard about the forgiveness. It gets forgiven because you first do the PPP. You get paid and then if you continue and then you rehire that's where it then turns into the grant, because people were wondering, how does that work? So it's not that you're going to get that money out first. You've got to do it, and then it'll roll over into the PPP. And I wanted to go ahead. I think that you have our information here at the office. Our lines are rolling over too. To everybody's cell phones on our number, but I'll give you my direct number also, and that's 520-226-6019. And you can text us all also. Sometimes that's the easier thing, and then we can get back to you. It's important that you all know that Mark and I are working in tandem. We have forever. We work together in the SVDC, and nothing's changed since then. So if I don't have time for something or he doesn't have time and we're working into this overflow mode, we're working together. So you will get answers.
Another thing that's
go ahead.
Another thing is I need to send people links to register as a client for the SBDC because we use constant contact. And that's how we're sending out information on updates as this thing happened. And so I want you to email me schmittm@cochise.edu. And Mignonne, Moniek can probably put that up on the screen some way so we have that information, because constant contact is who we're using to send you updated information. I had 3 updates this morning.
Yeah.
Let's talk about reliable sources here. Is the updates that I'm getting, these are the updates directly from the SBA, okay?
Same.
Robert Blaney and Craig Jordan, who are the 2 main people in Region 9 with the SBA. Also to our SBDC is getting direct information from reliable sources. And so you want to really be cautious. We started out with that. Be cautious with what information you're receiving and who's sending it to you.
Yeah, it's very important. We're doing the same. Again, Mark and I were on a site yesterday and we're like, no, that's not right. Yeah. We're getting ours directly from SBDC or the SBA in DC. They're sending us the alerts, and also from the rural grant. So, you know, USDA does some fantastic things, and we're working with them, and also with our legislators. They've been very good about reaching out and saying, what do we need to do for small businesses? Is this program working? What do we need to advocate? So I'm on the phone once a week with Ann Kirkpatrick's office. Yesterday, David Gowan reached out and said, what do we need? What's the temperature of the businesses? What are their fears? So again, please reach out to either me, Mark. We're working with the business community, and we're working with our legislators and decision makers on this. So
I want to talk about this a little bit too. Is because on one of the applications, there actually is a process in the disaster loan. Did somebody help you with this? And there's a part in there, how much did they charge you? Okay, so you know.
You shouldn't be charged.
Yeah, I'm like I say, I'm funded by the Small Business Administration in Washington, D.C. We have 1,000 offices across the United States. Arizona, our model is we're in every community college. My paycheck comes from Cochise College. They are funding partners because they have an important role in making this community better. And so I'm an employee of Cochise College. And so they pay money to have me be here, as well as we get some funding from the Arizona Commerce Authority. So the big thing that I'm telling you is you're my favorite 4-letter word, free. Okay? You're never going to have to pay to have me talk to you. Okay? Exactly. So remember that.
And the same here. The other thing that we're seeing is on one of the teleconferences yesterday, I can't remember which one anymore, is that some of the banks, and I know that was one of the questions about, are they a preferred lender? Now, some of the banks have started, you know, and I don't want to call any bank out, but have started price gouging people and saying, this is the interest rate, and they're building something in. Yeah, they came back right, or charging them an application fee. Yeah. If you're charged any sort of a fee up front, you are at the wrong place. And we hate to have to, you're trying to run your business and try to get right answers. And then you got to look out for all the fraudulent things that are going on at the other end. But please, no one should be charging you a fee. Your rates, make sure that they're coming directly off of a website from .gov. SBA.gov is what it needs to look like. Not .com, not .org. It's .gov. Nobody should be charging you any fee. You shouldn't be paying an application fee. The interest rates should not be any higher than what Mark and I've said. Again, know that could change tomorrow, but if it changes, that rate is going to be lower, not higher.
I want to talk a little bit on this topic too, because we haven't covered it, is, the first, a lot of leases were due. Okay. Yeah. And so here's the same thing. Don't just ignore that, and not pay it. Contact whoever your landlord is, okay, and have conversations with them on, this is what's going on with you. This is what you can do, okay? And some of your landlords might have reached out to you already, but don't just avoid and not make a payment to it. Call them, talk to them, have that conversation with them. Is, I'm having some trouble with my business. I want to stay in business. I want to do this in good faith. I've always paid my bills. I can't pay them right now. What can I do? Because I know you have bills that you need to pay too.
Yeah,
You know, so
that communication piece is super important. Whoever you're owning, whatever it is, you have got to communicate. Even if they say it's automatic, even with the student loans that are out there, if they'll say they're deferred, you still need to reach out and say, I need that deferral. So be in communication.
And I mentioned earlier, if you have an existing SBA loan, don't just quit paying on it. Contact your lender and go through the proper channels to get that deferred.
I see that that question there. Monique, do you want to read that for us?
Yeah. Is there an employer portion of payroll taxes that can be deferred to the end of 2021 and or 2022?
So that's interesting. The other day that answer was yes, and yesterday the answer was no. So that changes. It changes because they say when you've paid someone, you should have already withheld that, so that money was never yours. It's the same. There was a lot with the sales tax question. People were asking me like, nope, you still have to pay the sales tax because you collected it. That money was never yours. So right now, Mark, what did you hear as of 5 p.m. yesterday?
Same thing. And here's the thing: if you don't have sales, you still got to go in and file a sales tax report.
Zero. And so
you just payroll, simple online, click a zero box, no sales. But do that. If you have no sales, go in and still report, I had no sales.
Right. You still have to do the reporting. You always have to do the reporting. That is not, I mean, the taxes for your federal income taxes and your state income taxes, that has been pushed down the road to July. But, you know, you still owe the money. So it's just a matter of when. So to that question about deferrals, if you get the PPP, then you've got some of that payment deferrals, but the taxes that are coming out, you still owe the government.
Okay, got a PPP question. This person says, I've seen several different periods of time mentioned as the way to calculate monthly payroll for the PPP request. Is there any clear guidance from the SBA how that calculation should be done?
So what I heard yesterday, and again, this information changes day to day, it was that it's 250% of 1 month's payroll.
Yes, same thing I heard too.
Okay.
And I think it was up to a limit of 100,000.
100,000. And then they had some sort of limit also per employee, right? Certain employees that if they made over X amount of dollars, and I don't remember what that amount was, but it was pretty high. It was a fairly high number, $100,000 in a year or something like that. But it's 250% of 1 month's payroll.
Right.
Okay, good. Okay, we got another question. Mignonne, you touched on this, but I want to make sure we answer it fully in case you're still watching. If we get the emergency loan, but have applied for PPP as well, can I only get one? Do you have to wait for an answer on the other before accepting the PPP? Which one? Mignonne, you had talked about this, how you could.
So that's what I heard, that it could be that disaster loan, the EISL can be rolled into the PPP because it'll still be one. So I hope that answers your question. And again, that was the information that was earlier in the day yesterday. So I don't know, Mark, if there was a new by the afternoon.
And I'm thinking and hoping, just because if you've already applied for the disaster loan, you're probably going to get that first. You know, and then when you get that, when you're talking to your banker doing the PPP, let him know, hey, I got the money. Part of the application of the disaster loan, there's a line, have I received assistance anywhere else for any of these expenses? Well, right now, the answer is no, unless you did get some type of a loan or something for directly this.
Okay, and so there's another piece of information on this, and again, it was yesterday, and things really do change moment by moment. But yesterday, on the phone with SBA, they were testing their own system in-house, and they said that in the morning, it takes a short period of time to fill out the paperwork, as Mark said, but then the processing time that you have to wait for it to get in was 3.5 hours. So that was at one point 3.5 hours, but then someone was able to get theirs in under 2. So they're starting to work on their system. So I want to tell you that when you're doing that, don't get frustrated and just stop. Know that once you get that form, it is going to take a while for it to actually get processed. Earlier in the week, the system got totally overloaded and they shut it down and no applications were going through. So, but they're really working very diligently on getting that. So the last I heard, it could be anywhere from 2 to 3.5 hours.
I want to talk about the 800 call numbers. Okay. So we did some testing. So we called them at 5 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Just to sort of see how long are we on hold? We were actually number 79. It said 30 minutes. Okay. They actually came on in 23 minutes, answered our question. And there was a person that was able to, it wasn't like, sorry, we're busy, quick, call us later, or no, you need to talk to Joe. Joe ain't here now. We got the answer to our question. So let's say we tried it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. We were 879 in line. We set the phone to the side and they kept us online. We kept ticking down. It took 3 hours, but we did get someone. The someone answered our question. We were able to move on. So bear with that. The 800 numbers are working. Might be take you time to have someone come on and answer, but the times we've tried it, we had someone that came on that could answer the question and move us forward.
Okay, Anne Marie's asking for clarification on the payroll, those upper limits that you all talked about. Mm-hmm. Is that complete? That amount, the top, tippy top of the of the request that can be.
Yeah. And in that, I'm looking through, but the notes included that included all the compensation for sick leave, PTO, if you do that, any sort of benefits that you have in there. So I think that answers your question about it being fully loaded. Mm-hmm. Hey, the other thing that's really important for you all, I know that everybody's struggling right now. You know, Mark and I talk over and over about your business plan. In this time when you're at home, the number one thing we always heard is, I don't have time to do my business plan. I'm too busy. Guess what? You have time right now to do that business plan. And Mark and I, we will work together and with Monique's help, to do a webinar using GoToMeeting or Zoom or something, that we'll do a class for you and go through and work on that business plan, giving you that time and that guidance to get that done. But this is imperative. Those people that have done their business plan and are pulling it off the shelf and working with it every day, they're in a better situation today because they've made themselves resilient. And I want to talk about the resilience is super important for you all to think about. This is a good test because we know we're going to come out of this. Mm-hmm. We're pretty gosh darn sure. When is the question, but we will. So this is a time where you're really looking at how resilient are you making that business, so that if something else happens in a downturn, you already know that you've got those savings. They've said the national average for business is, 26 days of savings? Yeah. That's not a lot to get you through. And so you want to be able to build that up so that you're looking at 3 months, that you're good for 3 months and not the 26 days.
Interesting. You know, whenever there's a disaster, there's times for opportunity too. Mm-hmm. Think about what's going on. Mm-hmm. I've actually started 5 businesses last week with people that found some opportunities, and I think they're going to be some good, solid businesses. Yeah. And once again, remember, do not pay someone for an EIN number. Do not pay someone to do a name search. You know, do not
pay someone to do your LLC unless you're talking to your attorney to get some information.
Yeah, yeah.
You can do all these things on your own. You can get your DUNS number all by yourself.
Yeah. When it comes time for an operating agreement, maybe you might want to sit down with one, but pull down some templates and know what you're going in there talking to them about. Okay. You know, huge things. Time to talk to your insurance agent. You know, what policies do you have in place? You know what I mean? Now is the time too with your employees. There might be some training they could be doing at home.
Training manuals you could be writing. I mean, that was one of the calls yesterday. We were really talking about making that business resilient. So there's all those things that you haven't done. You haven't done maybe an employee manual because you only had 2 employees.
Go ahead. I'm sure Monique has a bunch of social media training that everybody needs.
Yeah.
At least go to Google and claim your space. Good guy. Yeah. I have some of that kind of stuff.
You're talking about finding the opportunities, but even creating opportunities as well. I created a hub with free trainings because I see businesses struggling with that and figuring out that messaging and how to still be present when people aren't buying right now, but people are still paying attention. So there's still opportunity in that. And I mean, I think everything that y'all are talking about is just we have to take ownership of our businesses in a time like this. Something like this really challenges our leadership abilities, and we can decide whether this pressure. I just posted on Instagram today. If this pressure is going to create a diamond or if it's going to burst a pipe. Which one is it going to do? We get to choose. And I mean, everything that you all are talking about, it centers on that, really stepping up and leading our businesses.
Yeah, and there's lots of good webinars out there, both on our site and on Mark's. We're posting webinars that you'll want to tune into and figure things out, especially with the PPP. There's a lot of nuances to it, and we're just going to talk about it, as we did today as a bigger overview. But there's some tricky things about what if I have an employee that decides to quit right now? Can I add them on? What happens? I mean, there's lots of detailed questions. We can answer some of those, but really you'll want to get advice from either the attorney or from your accountant or a specialist that really does that. And again, most people should be giving you that information for free. You shouldn't have to be paying for that information. So if you find that you are, shoot us an email, give us a call and say, who do I talk to get that? Because between the three of us here, we've got the resources to be able to tell you who you should speak to get that information.
And I got to say, hats off. There's a lot of very important professional people right now willing to give you good, solid advice and not charge you for it.
Yeah.
Great opportunities out there right now. But like Mignonne said, we were kind of filtering through some of these things. And so we know that we're getting you to a person that is going to be thoughtful of that. And more of a helping, not of a taking kind of a thing.
Yeah, that's the same. The call Mark and I were on yesterday, we were just amazed that the professionals that they brought on there, were then saying, come into our office, and they were going to charge them for their services. And it was more of a sales pitch in a time when people just need some accurate information. And, Mark and I are texting back and forth about what is this? These poor people that don't know, and they think then that's the route that you have to go to get that information. So,
yeah. Well, this is very good. I'm scrolling through. It doesn't look like we have any more questions right now.
Okay.
Everybody's like, thank you. This has been good. Good information. Definitely the piece about making sure that we are getting our information from reliable, trusted sources. That's why we're fortunate to have you both in this community, and you are staying on top of this information and paying attention as things are coming out and being able to advise business owners. So Manuel says he's still not clear on what is available to assist he said he'll call later.
Okay. Because really, Manuel, what I'm going to tell you is your grant money is right there, Mark. Wait, I got to point the other direction. Mark. As he said, he's funded by SBA and the college and through Commerce Authority. And so when we work together in the SBDC, we'd have people always come in and say, we're here for our grant money. Where's our grant? And we're like, you're looking at it. Yeah. So we can help you, and I can do the same. We can help you with your business plan. We can try to get you there. We can look at some ways that maybe you can think about some different ways for your gym. Maybe you do a virtual gym for your members right now. Work with Monique and get some stuff that, you can still do those classes. Monique and I were talking earlier that her daughter's got her virtual dance class in a little bit. So there's some other things that you can think about to really look at how you're running your business and doing that. So our preliminary answer to you is yes, there's some things that you can do. I'm kind of trying to look at your question at the same time. Loaning your business some money, there's a way to do that. You want to be smart about it. You want to charge your company interest also, because if it can't pay back, then you can write that off. So there's some nuances again in there that we can work you through to make sure that you're sustainable at the other end. And since you've just started, great time to really finish up that business plan and look at some creative ways that you can hang in there. And we wish you the best of luck. We look forward to talking to you.
Easily, I process probably 200 business plans a year. Okay, so send me some more. Yeah. If you have a business owner that's a friend, if he's a real friend, please let me talk to him. You know what I mean? This isn't a secret. We want to help as many people as we possibly can. And like I say, right now we're being able to handle everything you throw at us. I say, throw me some more stuff.
Yep.
So Dan just jumped on, Dan Vaya from Hispanic Chamber. He says, great job, Triple M. I'm going to start a campaign to start Triple M t-shirts. So thanks for the idea, Dan. Okay, Anne-Marie just jumped on with something, and then this will be the last one, and then we got to roll because we've been on for 45 minutes.
Okay.
I was advised by the SBA that they are not able to give advice. So consulting with our CPA and attorneys and understanding the loan and how it works is extremely important.
Right. So they can't give you the SBA, you get your advice through the SBDC. So let's just be very clear about that. So you can go talk to Mark and he can give you information. You can come in here and we can give you information. What we cannot do, and I wear that hat, so I still am so ingrained of being about in the SBDC also, is we can't recommend one accountant because, right, then that leads to, oh yeah, they paid you under the table. Did you make money? But we used to, Mark, I talked to Rachel and she said she didn't have that anymore, but I know that at some point we had a list of all the accountants that we had sort of screened. Yeah. And so we can't just tell you to go to one, but we can provide you a list of some that we've pre-screened, that we've worked with, that we know. And so we can't give you just one, but we certainly can tell you the ones that have come to us. There's some bankers. Ron Curtis sits on our board. Ron Curtis always has done classes. He's at the credit union right now. And he came in just the other day and said, if there's something that I can do to help the business community, I'm right here. So we've got people in the community that have come forward and said, we're here to help. We're here to walk you through your financials on how to do them. We're here to walk you through a loan process. So let us know what you need, and we'll get back on the air and do another M&M live for you all.
And even with other people, some other like Ron and some of those other local experts, we could bring them on too and invite them to the
Yeah, we actually have plans to do that.
Yeah, we sure do.
And Ron's one, he was the first one that called me, hey Mark, can I go on here and talk to?
Same.
It's like, yeah. But here's a big thing to remember. This is business, this is important, and this is confidential information. Okay, so we all sign confidentiality agreements that it's kind of what you say in Vegas stays in Vegas. What you say in our office remains confidential. And so keep that in mind too. We do not share your information with anyone unless we have you sign a release to say, hey, Craig Mount, you're the Small Business Development Center Business of the Year. Okay, he wants us to say that because he is. He was Cochise County Small Business of the Year. And so he wants us to sign, and we had to sign papers before I could say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this has been really good. Really good, great comments, great questions from our community. And again, this is how I know we'll be okay. We'll be okay because we have people that are stepping up, that are sharing valuable information. We're supporting each other. And even like you said, Mignonne, we're exercising our resilience muscle.
Yeah, yeah.
And can I throw in my last little like closing minute kind of thing? Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Very good joke.
It's kind of business owners, you're all in. You're working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Everything you got is online every day. Okay, you're willing to work like most people won't. My job, Mignonne's job, and Monique's job is to help you create wealth through your business so you can live the rest of your life like most people can't. And that's the way I look at my job, won't and can't. Okay, so we're here to actually help you succeed in your business, because when you succeed, the three of us succeed.
And thank you all so much for tuning in today. And we'll stay tuned for when we do this again. And we'll wait to see what some of your questions are so we get you the right speaker, so that this is not a waste of your time. We understand how precious that time is. And you have our contact information. You need anything, just let us know.
Hey, one last shout out. Thank you, Mignonne, for the 3 M's. She thought of that. He said, MMM.
Good job, 3M, team 3M.
3 M's. Let's do it.
Yeah. I will update the captions for this broadcast with the links to the SBDC page. This is already on the EDF page, but I will definitely update you all your contact information so people can get with you directly. And like you said, Mignonne, continue to share your questions, inbox, email, comment here on this thread with your questions, because we want to keep this going and keep the relevant, reliable, trusted information going out to our small business community. That's very important right now, because there's a lot of shenanigans happening, and we
And
don't.
that false information, that's what really gets me, is the false information that's out there. You know, we want to make sure that you've got the right information and the right tools to help you.
Right. All righty. So thank you all so much. Thank you all for joining. Thanks, Mark. We appreciate you. We will catch you all in the next Ask M&M Live.
Yep. All right, great. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.